Okay, friends, today we are talking about September anticipated releases. There's quite a few that are very interesting, and I am excited to talk about them. Okay, first coming out on September 2nd is Making History by KJ Parker. I have read KJ Parker once before. I think Prosper's Demon was a novella I read. Very interesting. This author has a very interesting kind of authorial voice, and I am very curious to see how we do with this one. This is another novella. A group of scholars are asked to do the impossible by a ruthless king. The cost of refusal being death, of course. History isn't truth, it's propaganda. Academics can be cocky, atop their perches of authority, high above the thrumming masses of the unquestioning world. They can begin to think themselves gods. It is extremely rare for this authority to be tested, but a challenge from an idiotic, power-hungry king, that'll do it. Our narrator is one of a dozen professors at the University of the Kingdom of Aelia. Early one morning, all of them are rounded up for an audience with their dictator, Gygas. You see, Gygas is new to the job. He only invaded Aelia last year, and like any good tyrant, he's looking to expand his empire. But he doesn't think his public image can take the hit of another unjustified assault. No problem, he's come up with a plan. Have the scholars construct an ancient city from scratch that justifies his right to the lands of the neighboring city-state. Now these bookworms must put their heads together to do the impossible. They must make history, because if they don't, they'll lose their heads altogether. I am very curious to see how this goes. You can kind of tell from the summary already that there's an interesting voice here, so I'm looking forward to that one. Next, we have Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. This is coming out on September 9th. A woman must confront the demons of her past when she attempts to fix up her childish home. Cleo Louise Barnes leads a picture-perfect life as a stylist and influencer, but beneath the glossy veneer, she harbors a not-so-glamorous secret. She grew up in a haunted house. Well, not haunted, possessed. After Claire's parents' messy divorce, her mother Alex moved Cleo and her sisters into a house occupied by a demon, or so Alex claimed. That's not what Cleo's sisters remember or what the courts determined when they stripped Alex of custody after she went off the deep end. After Alex's sudden death, the supposed possessed house passes to Cleo and her sisters. Where her sisters see childhood trauma, Cleo sees an opportunity for house flipping content. Only as the home makeover process begins, Cleo discovers there might be some truth to her mother's claims. Okay, we'll leave it like that. Interesting. We'll see how it goes. She always comes out with these books that are like kind of typical horror fare, but she kind of does them in a light contemporary way, so I'm always curious when she releases something. Okay, next we have Thief of Night by Holly Black. If you were here for book one, my friend Ashley and I did a TBR swap, and she picked Book of Night for me, and I didn't have a great time with it. But I found that the bones of a really good story was there. The ending was pretty interesting, and I thought I would definitely read the second book when it came out, and it's coming out. How to describe this? So in the first one, we follow the main character, Charlie, who is kind of a con artist, and she stumbles into something bigger than herself. Lots of magic, it's urban fantasy, essentially. But not capital U, capital F urban fantasy, but like it's basically urban fantasy. So it ended in a way where I don't want to spoil it, but I found it very interesting. The synopsis for this doesn't say anything. It says, there'd always been something wrong with Charlie Hall. Crooked from the day she was born. Never made a bad decision she wasn't willing to double down on. She may be good enough to steal a shadow from a tower, but will she be good enough to steal back a heart? So, I have no idea what that synopsis even means, but I am very curious about this. I'm gonna put a library hold in and we'll see how it goes. September 30th, one I'm very excited about. This is Saltcrop by Yume Kitasei. I really liked Yume Kitasei's second book. Oh god. The Deep Sky was the first one. The second book was, I'm completely blanking on the name of her second book, but it was the one that was kind of like adventure Indiana Jones-ish in space. So this is her third novel. This is not a space sci-fi novel. It's more of a dystopian. So let's see what the synopsis says. In Earth's not too distant future, seas consume coastal cities, highways disintegrate underwater, and mutant fish lurk in pirate-controlled depths. Skipper, a skilled sailor and the youngest of three sisters, earns money skimming and reselling plastic from the ocean to care for her ailing grandmother. But then her eldest sister, Nora, goes missing. Nora left home a decade ago in pursuit of a cure for failing crops all over the world. When Skipper and her other sister, Carmen, receive a cryptic plea for help, they must put aside their differences and set out across the sea to find and save her. As they voyage through a dying world, both beautiful and strange, encountering other travelers along the way, they learn more about their sister's work and the corporations that want what she discovered. We'll keep it at that. So less sci-fi spacey as the last two novels that Yume Kitasei has written, but I'm still interested. I really like her writing. So yeah, I am excited about this one. Next, also on September 30th, this is a big day for releases. We have Fate's Bane by C.L. Clark. C.L. Clark, I think, wrote the Unbroken series, which was the Unbroken, I think, was the first book a few years ago. You had that, like, the Sapphic trifecta. You had the Unbroken, She Who Drowned the World, and the Jasmine Throne. So C.L. Clark wrote one of those. And this is a fantasy novella, I believe. Warring clans, burning hearts, a deadly fate. The clans of the fence enjoy a tenuous peace, and it is all thanks to Agnir, ward and hostage. For as long as she can remember, she has lived among the enemy, learning their ways, growing strong alongside their children. When a burgeoning love for the chieftain's daughter lures them both to a hidden spring, a magic awakens in them that could bind the clans under one banner at last, or destroy any hope of peace. By working their intentions into leather, they can weave misfortunes for their enemies, just like the fate's bane that haunts the legend of the clans. Ambitions grow in their fathers' hearts, grudges threaten to return to violence, and greedy enemies wait outside the borders, seeking a foothold to claim the fens for themselves. And though their makings may save their families, the legend that gave them this power always exacts its price. I don't think that says a lot, but you can kind of get like the sense that this is kind of like a fairy tale-esque, adjacent kind of story. So I'm interested. We will see. Lastly, for the month, and last on September 30th, is what I would consider the worst cover out of the bunch. I had this as anticipated before it had a cover, and then there was a cover reveal, and I was like, this is what you give me? This is the Autumn Springs Home Massacre by Philip Fracassi. The Autumn Springs Retirement Home Massacre by Philip Fracassi. That title, and with the synopsis I'm about to tell you, and this is the cover. Okay. Oh, I'm still mad about it. Brimming with dark humor, violence, and mystery, the Autumn Springs Retirement Home Massacre is a blood-soaked slasher sure to keep readers cringing, laughing, and guessing until the very last page. Rose Dubois is not your average final girl. Rose is in her late 70s, living out her golden years at the Autumn Springs retirement home. When one of her friends dies alone in her apartment, Rose isn't too concerned. Accidents happen, especially at this age. Then another resident drops dead, and another. With bodies stacking up, Rose can't help but wonder, are these accidents, old age, or something far more sinister? Together with her best friend Miller, Rose begins to investigate. The further she digs, the more convinced she becomes. There's a killer on the loose at Autumn Springs, and if she isn't careful, Rose may be their next victim. Why is this the cover? That seems like kind of fun and a little, satirical and a take on slashers with a 70-year-old retiree. Why is this the cover? I'm just so baffled. I am so baffled. Anyways, cover aside, this is already on my library, requests at my library. That's all the books for September. An interesting month. I'm not super intense about anything coming out this month the way it was last month. Last month we had a T. Kingfisher, we had Chuck Tingle. But there's still interesting stuff to read. And I think out of all of these, let me just take a look at my Notion. Out of all of these, probably the most excited for Yume Kitasei's work because I really enjoy her as an author. Let me know what you think about what's coming out September. Is there something that you are very excited for that I haven't listed here? I have, in my mind, I have started to whittle down what, my anticipated, because I tend to just, blah, 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 just add so much to my list. And it's more hey, these are releases I'm kind of interested in seeing the buzz about versus I'm actually anticipating a release. So I've had to really whittle them down. Otherwise I'd have 30 books to put on this list, which, to be honest, I wouldn't be actually anticipating them. It's just be hey, this interesting is coming out. That's everything coming out in September. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye.